Hello, beautifuls. My name is Quavia. Welcome to JuJu Thyme. In today's video, I'm here to tell you a story. The Afro folk wisdom that I want to share with you is a tale that comes from Yeye Louisa Tish in her book Jambalaya. If you have not read this book or you don't know who Yeye Louisa Tish is, then I highly, highly recommend that you go on a journey and find out, and that you get her first book, Jambalaya, and her latest book, A Calabash of Cowries. Her latest book is one I really can't wait to read because I am all about ancient wisdom for modern times, and it's why I love to share past and current Afro folk wisdom with you. But anyway, the short tale that I will read right now is an original tale based on Yeye Tish's relationship with Oya. I first read this story so long ago, but lately this tale has been on my mind and just begging for me to revisit it. So I did. And I have had so many thoughts around it that I felt called to share them. But first, the story. So it starts. Whirling wind was the one who cast Ifa for 9 skirts on the day she hear the cry. Help, Oya, help me to change. The human held to pain and said, my head is dizzy with ugly thoughts. My belly is hard with greed. My knees are weak with the weight of guilt, and the leaves will not cure me. Oya spun around on her toes. The human cried, what must I do for you, Oya? What is your price for my cure? Oya spun around on her fingers. Must I give you all my gold? Must I surrender my ego? Shall I beg your forgiveness? Oya spun around on her head. The human screamed and cried, please, twirling woman, help me, help me. Oya flashed her dark mirror and said, if you wish release, human, simply look into my mirror and change. You who need courage, look into my mirror and change. If you desire wisdom, simply look into my mirror and change. Power can be yours if you will look into my mirror and change. And so the human looked into her mirror and changed. Oh, Oya, my head is clear, my belly soft, my knees are strong. What must I do to pay you for this wonder? Oya took a wide-legged step and she fanned her skirts, just so. And all the curing leaves fell from the trees and laid a path before the human. Whirling wind was the one who cast Ifa for 9 skirts on the day she heard the cry. Oya smiled and said, you who seek transformation need only look into my mirror and change. I understand why I needed to revisit this tale. There is a wisdom in it that my spirit needed me to remember for myself. So come down the rabbit hole with me. I've been posting on YouTube, in YouTube Shorts, on Substack, and even Instagram, but I've been fairly absent because I've been going through it in the best way overall. But I need you to come with me for a second, okay? So when I reread this tale, there are a few things that caught my attention and held it. And it wasn't what the seeker was asking for. It was Oya's actions, right? So, oops. Okay, so the seeker cries out for Oya, right? Oya spins on her toes. She then spins on her fingers and then on her head. And I remember thinking, why? Why would she do that? You know? I mean, can you imagine a person? Well, first off, Oya is not a person. She is an Orisha. But can you imagine in general, right, the situation where you are talking to a person and just laying it out, you know, just laying it all out, and they are spinning on their toes, their fingers, and head. It just seems just ridiculous and frustrating. So why would Oya, who once again is not a person, you know, she's an Orisha, but why would she do this? We cannot guess what Oya would do next. She might as well have spun around on her elbow, for crying out loud. We wouldn't have known. But my spirit reminded me that Oya is the queen of change. And my spirit said, change is not always comfortable. And in a way, Oya in this tale reflects this, and perhaps even reflects the seeker themselves. And then we see in the tale that Oya finally shows the seeker her dark mirror. Now, I think there are many meanings of the dark mirror. Personally, for my magical practice, I use and have a dark mirror. But this tale also put into my mind, of course, shadow work, but also the womb. It put into my mind the space of silence, the liminal space, the space of the abyss, the space where spirit purposefully shields your view of the future to push you back into the present of where you are. This is but just a few things that came to my mind for me in this dark mirror. So then, the next couple of days, I went on this journey thinking about mirrors and coming across the right things, spirits, and people that would show me a mirror. And the realization, especially when you are conscious of your journey, growth, and healing, how everyone you are looking at is also you. What you see in me, you also have within yourself. What I see within you, I also have within me. And this is also that dark mirror concept that I've been pondering on a lot lately. Now, in the tale, Oya flashes her dark mirror and basically says, "Look into my mirror and change." Now, this is some timeline jumping, no need for a spell type of work. I mean, spell work on certain days and portals and whatnot, it definitely enhances your spell's intention. But in this situation, there is no need for it because the seeker looked into Oya's mirror and changed like that. And I remember when I read this tale and I reread that part, my immediate reaction was, it's not that easy. And then my true voice, my spirit said, really? And I had to recognize where that reaction was coming from. It was it was from a space of ego, of my limiting belief in myself and my will. Imagine saying, really, it's not easy to Oya. It's just not possible. As well as being the queen of change, Yeye Tish talks in her book of Oya being mother of the mind. And I encourage you to read the book and read that part for yourself. But for Oya, when something is set, it just is. And I feel it's a part of why Oya is feared. There is no excuse when you meet Oya's principle. It is, and it is done. Period. You know? And this brought me down the rabbit hole of the past for myself, and it reminded me of the time I encountered Oya's principle. I mean, we encounter Oya's principle all the time, but in this particular, it definitely is like imprinted on my mind of something that I just can never forget. And I was at a time in my life where I was needing change, and I was desperate. I remember it clearly because it was a day where Prague was getting one of her really rare, crazy lightning storms. It rarely happens here where we get this like wild lightning, thunder, rain everywhere type of weather. But yeah, it was one of those days, and I remember thinking, this is my chance. I need to speak with Oya, and Oya's coming through. So I remember going to my balcony in my other flat at the time, just talking to Oya, calling to her. I wasn't crying or anything. Oya is a mother, but she's not that type of mother. But I felt despair and then rage, and there was this inner demand of change. It was very releasing, actually. It was very releasing and much needed. But you see, I would learn later. But you see, when you ask Oya for change, right? And this is also why she's feared as well. But when you ask her for change, she doesn't come in and redecorate or even like tear down a few walls. No, it's not that cute. It's really not that cute. She comes in and rips out anything and everything that is not serving you, even if it's the tile floors themselves, okay? She structurally changes everything. Your life becomes a story of how your life got flipped, turned upside down. You literally become the intro of the French Prince of Bel-Air, okay? And that's basically what happened to me, because right after that whole raging on my balcony with Oya, I was let go of my job at the time. Then a few weeks later, COVID hit, which is a very unfortunate time to have lost your job a couple weeks prior. And then my previous relationship that I was in was deteriorating. I then moved out of my old flat. I found a new one, and I started a new job, but that was very uncertain. And basically, JuJu Thyme became my own personal house of peace and refuge, basically. And I suppose in a way, it's still this house for me of peace and refuge, but it is sort of expanded for me. It's more, it's touched on my inspiration and my creativity and passion that I have for life. But basically, nothing is impossible for Oya. Nothing is impossible for your spirit unless you instruct it so. So back to the tale, right? Our seeker changes just like that. And they want to say thank you to Oya. So what does Oya do? Focusing again on her actions. She takes a wide-legged step, fans her skirt, and then all the curing leaves fall from the trees to lay a path for the human. Now, I had to look up what curing leaves meant, and very interestingly, basically, it's leaves that are ready for harvest or is being made ready for the market. So your thank you is your devotion to change. Your thank you is continually walking the marketplace called Earth. Your thank you is to continue what she started. So during this time, lately, all of this has been like flooding back to me. The rage, the storms, the I mirroring and others mirroring to me, and realizations about myself and people, and the messages of change and discomfort and what it requires of me. And at first, I was telling myself that it required sacrifice. But now I realize that it's not sacrifice per se, but devotion that is required. Devotion to myself, devotion to the path. Yes, there could be sacrifice in devotion, and it takes work, but this is the kind of work that feels like inspiration and growth. So yeah, has been where I've been at lately. But yeah, I just want to thank you, beautifuls, for being here with me and letting me share a little bit of what's been going on in my mind and my spirits, what I've been contemplating on and stuff. I'm not, if I'm being very vulnerable and honest, I am not quite sure, or I feel a little bit of a fear in calling in Oya again. Because of, all that she is wholly, fully, But I am going to welcome that fear and always know that her changes, her guidance is and has been just nothing but for my best and highest good. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed the tale. For just like you, I am but standing in front of the ocean and the cosmos in complete admiration of how much I don't know. So I'm excited that I get to be a student of myself and the world so that I can continue to explore what else unfolds. Anyway, thank you again for being here with me. Until the next one, truth and love.